supposed to be a leader for my team. I'm supposed to be a Christ follower.
Set your own path. You know, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Make the right decisions. We've been talking a little bit already, but I want to welcome Dominique Blake to the show. She's a Jamaican Olympic medalist, serial entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Diamond Training. This is a woman I've been excited to sit down with for quite a while. Thank you for joining the Extraordinary Athletes podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Xavier. It's a pleasure. I think this is a wonderful platform that you have, and so I'm just super appreciative to be here and to share my life and whatever it is that you want to know.
Man, I'm excited to hear about it. But first and foremost, how are you, your family doing with the COVID-19 going around here?
Thank God everybody's safe. I have had a couple distant, fatalities, like, just some like older family members pass away. But my immediate family is doing great. Friends, training group, coach, everybody's doing fantastic. So one of the blessings with about being an athlete is that we have a very high lung capacity. So I haven't heard of any athlete, thank God, passing away from COVID. And so we're blessed in that respect. But yes, I'm doing great. How are you? How you doing?
Family is over here doing good, thank God. Saying very blessed. My parents live a couple hours away, but they're scared to come down to Tampa just because they don't want anything to happen. So that's understandable. But it's weird. Like I miss seeing my family all the time and being able to go and do things. I'm sure that's got to be the same for you.
Listen, do you remember on social media, people would just be joking around and say, oh, bring back 2019 or take me to the 90s. Like, we've literally been put in a situation where it feels almost like the 90s, or, you know what I mean? Or I'd take anything to have 2019 back,
Oh, seriously.
Fortunately, everything on the business side has been great. So I'm not hurting in that respect. But I think, we took a lot of things for granted, and it just makes you that much more appreciative. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. We definitely, it shows you what we take for granted. When things kind of get back to normal, hopefully soon here at some point, we won't take those things for granted anymore. But I'm going to get to the whole business side of things, because you got to be one of the busiest women in the world as far as how you move and navigate and doing everything. But first and foremost, I know you had an indoor meet here February. Now, what's next as far as, track and field? What's the next step?
Track and field for sprinters, we have two seasons. We have indoor season and outdoor season. So indoor typically goes from January until the beginning of March, mid-March. And then outdoor season begins the end of March, beginning first couple of weeks of April. And it can go, depending on the year, all the way until September. Typically, if it's an Olympic year, the Olympics are usually in the first week of August. So, or, that last week of July, first week of August, typically. But, everything has changed. So we've actually gone back to off-season and background training to now look forward to next year, because they postponed the Olympics to 2021. So I know that in addition to myself, there are a lot of other athletes in the sport that either they were contemplating, hanging it up, and this is going to be their going out with a bang, or they have committed to the idea, like, this is it, and, I'm going to move on, whether it be coaching or starting a family or whatever it may be. But I'm in that category, like I told you earlier, I'm 33, I'm balancing being an entrepreneur, looking to start a family and, do those other things in life that you're not necessarily thinking about when you're 19 and you're 20 and you're 22 in the sport. You know, some people do, but that wasn't my mindset, you know. And so now your passions are pulling you in different directions. You know what I mean? So it's going to take a lot more to really just focus. And you know how it is being an athlete, it literally takes everything out of you emotionally, physically, and people don't understand that. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes I don't even want to see my own reflection. Like when I pull into my driveway, sometimes I just sit there for 20 minutes because I can't move. You know, dealing with people having to be high energy all the time. And so, you know, it's a balancing act for sure.
So has this gotten to be a time where you can kind of rest and relax and kind of enjoy this quote unquote off season that maybe wasn't supposed to be happening during this time? Or are you still staying, hey, I need to be staying after it? What's the mentality like now?
Oh, so let me just tell you, my coach is absolutely crazy, right? So he's also the University of Arkansas's head assistant coach, assistant head coach, excuse me. So while the collegiates, they can't, you know, for legal reasons with the university, they can't train with him right now. That hasn't stopped him from, you know, training his professional group. So, you know, being one of the veterans in the group, you know, I know, one, it's very important for me to show up and show that commitment. But two, your body and sport, you know, they're basically one and the same when it comes to being consistent. We don't have the opportunity or you know, we're not blessed to be a part of the 1% in this world, call ourselves Olympians, call ourselves, you know, these amazing creatures that can do all these fantastic things and turn the switch off. So even if we were going to be out for 3 months, there's no such thing as stopping. Like, it is the most unfair thing. I know you have taken 2 to 3 weeks off and just, you know, of doing nothing, and then just getting back in the gym or on the field, and you're like, the hell, I probably should have jogged or something. You know what I mean? So consistency with the repetitions that we do is everything. And so I take that same principle and I apply it to everything else. So, you know, I always plan for whatever. I've always adapted business models that like a lot of other successful, you know, Fortune 500 companies adapt to, as far as I saw what the recession did last time in 2008 and all the different kinds of businesses that were created as a result. So when I created Diamond Training, I wanted it to be something special that, you know, it's virtual, local, and mobile. How the hell do you dismiss any area? Even if there's COVID, great, we'll train you virtually. You know what I mean? It's one-on-one, so we can also social distance and train you 6 to 10 feet away from you, outdoors. You know what I mean? So we have all, you know, the facility to accommodate any and every kind of training. So anyway, personally, I haven't stopped. I'm not as sharp and as lean as I'd like to be. So it's kind of like, me a little bit. You know how that is. You're just always remembering your body, your muscle memory as your best self. So, but it's cool. You know, I'm enjoying being home.
That's good. I think you mentioned a good point too. You know, talking about the last time there was kind of a depression or recession, a lot of great companies were built. A lot of, you know, a lot of business people focused and really dove in during that time. I think that this is a time for opportunity. I think that this is a time, if you change your mindset and understand that, you know, this isn't just a negative time, but it can be turned into a positive time. So I think that that's something I've kind of stressed to a lot of young athletes, a lot of people in general, just saying, hey, if you're able to change your mind and your outlook on life and some things, you can really turn this into a positive time, because you don't want to look back and say, oh man, there was a few months I just kind of wasted my time. And I think that for you and the things that you're trying to do, business-wise, entrepreneurial-wise, you would say the same thing, right? This is a time for growth.
Absolutely. This has been like one of the best periods. I think on a whole, human beings just sitting still, staying their asses at home. Like, one, we've given the planet a chance to kind of recover. You know what I mean? The ozone layer has gotten smaller. The oceans have gotten cleaner. You know, over in Venice, you can actually see the fishes now. In California, you can actually see the mountains. So smog and pollution is like super, you know, it basically not even, I won't say non-existent, but it's not as bad as it used to be, which is phenomenal. That hasn't been that way in hundreds of years. So, you know, it really makes you sit and put things in perspective. And as far as us being at home, like, I think that we can really, this is a wonderful time for us to really just kind of sit and assess, you know, just everything that's going on in society, where we are as human beings, and really put into perspective what's important. Because sports can stop, you know, sports can stop, the bars and the clubs can stop, but what's really important? What are we doing here? You know?
Right,
So
right.
that being said, yeah, you know, we have to survive, so we have to be creative, and very mindful in how we decide to make a living and provide for ourselves and our families. And so with that being said, you know, I'm just really looking around right now, and I'm just determined to come out of this on top, whether it be, you know, people in my mentorship groups or just people that I'm working with or hanging out with. Whether you think you're right or whether you think you're wrong, either way, you're right? So I'm gonna wake up every day, no matter what's going on, and I'm determined to have a positive attitude because it's connected to every single thing, whether it be business, my personal relationship, friendships, my training partners, coach. Whatever I decide to leave my house with, that's what I got for the rest of the day. So I can either decide that I'm gonna have a damn good workout, I'm gonna have the best workout I ever had in my life, I'm gonna have a phenomenal day, I'm gonna create opportunities in business, I'm gonna meet new people, and that's just always my mindset. So anything that doesn't serve that energy, I have to get rid of it. You know what I mean? Because it's not only affecting me, it's affecting everything else that's like attached to me. It's affecting my staff, it's affecting my other business. Because if you just decide to be in a negative space or in this place of lack, you know, and I come and hang out with you, whether you're gonna say it to me out of your mouth or not, energetically, I won't feel it. I'm gonna be like, something's going on with this guy, man. I don't know what it is, but, and so we can't just have a cohesive, like, kind of amazing time together because there's something going on with you. So that's the work that I'm really focused on, always, I don't want to say perfecting, but really making sure I'm staying on top of, because sports, business, all of it is just an extension of life. You know what I mean? Being an amazing athlete has then in turn put me to being a great mentor, a good business person. And so those principles, they just don't fall away. You know what I mean? They don't fall to the wayside. So I still have to apply those same things every day. Like, do we ever really stop being athletes? Like, are you ever going to stop being competitive?
I don't think so. And I think that that's a great point. You know, there's always going to be competition within us. We're always going to be striving for the best, no matter if it's in sport or outside of sport. So I think that you mentioned a great point. But now I want to take you back to a young Dom,
Okay.
maybe middle school, high school years.
Oh my God.
What were the dream and aspirations? Did you know, like, what you wanted to do at all? Did you know what you wanted to be? Can you remember back? I know it was a long time ago.
I'm going to say yes. It feels like yesterday, but I'm going to tell you a funny story. And people laugh at me for talking about this story all the time. It's a story that I tell whenever I do public speaking events, and I'll tell it forever. And this is just a really wonderful example about whenever you're laser focused on one thing, it has to happen. It has to happen. So I've always known that I wanted to be an athlete, a professional athlete. So from, I'd say, when did we start dressing up being, you know, whatever for career day? You know, grade school. So from first grade all the way up until my senior year in high school, so right before college, I've been the same exact thing for career day. The same thing. I've always been an Olympic medalist. Now,
Wow.
the mistake I made as a kid, I should have been an Olympic gold medalist. So when you're not specific again in your demands and your goals and what you expect from the universe, you get all kinds of shit, right? So if you, all right, another example, I'm going to come back to that story, but if I want the new Mercedes, you know, that S500 or whatever it may be, I'm going to say I want it to be black. I want the interior to be red. I want, you know, these type. So we are so specific with our food, with our cars, but for some reason, when it comes to our goals and aspirations, people think that they don't have to be ridiculously, obsessively specific. You have to. So once you can outline, you know, hey, I want to get to the World Series, or I want to run a specific time on the track, it's going to come, because every day you show up and you wake up, you're going to wake up with that much conviction and that much energy behind whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, because you have a goal, right? So back to the story. Yeah, I've been the same thing for career day. I think one day in high school, career day in high school, maybe my sophomore or junior year, a group of friends, they're like, girl, you've been the same thing for like the past 2 years. Can you like pick something else? And I'm like, no, because this is it, right? And I had like a little string with a little foil paper that was supposed to be the medal. And I would be proud every single year. So when I finally did make it to the Olympics and I finally did get signed to Adidas, you know, it was a thing like, look, y'all, I told you. So it doesn't just, I'm pretty sure there's so many more stories of people that accomplished what they wanted just because they didn't let society or people talk them out of it. Any naysayers, I don't like to say haters, but you know, people that look at you and discourage because you're so passionate about something that you know is going to happen and you can feel it and you can taste it. They don't have that same conviction in their spirit, so they become you know, this little voice in your ear all the time, discouraging you from your own goal because they can't see it for themselves. So I've come across family members that's made me feel that way, friends, and so I just kind of limit my exposure and my time because I understand also that's not entirely their fault. You know what I mean? So that's my dream, my vision for myself. So I can't fault you if you don't want that, but I don't have to put myself in that situation. Does that make sense? Yeah. So whatever I decide I'm going to do it with my all. I don't have any gray areas. I've never been on the fence person. So anything that puts me in that kind of a spirit, I'm really uncomfortable with it. I'm either going to go balls to the walls and I'm going to make it happen, or I'm not going to do it at all.
But,
you know?
but what I didn't even really want to get into this yet, but what made you develop, you know, that sense of thinking, that mentality of thinking? Because I think that it's so important for everybody today, no matter what age you are, but specifically I want to talk toward younger athletes. Like, goal setting is so important. And I think you mentioned how detailed it needs to be, whether that be short-term or long-term goals.
I go through pads and pads weekly, like every day.
I'm so huge on just writing it down, because it may not even be something that you think can happen, but if you write it down and you visually see it, like once it gets in your brain, that's something that can be, you know, brought to life. And so I just wanted to ask you, where did that come from at a young age? Where did that mentality come from?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I think one, I don't want to say it's something that you're born with, but honestly, it takes nurturing from your parents. I've never seen my parents not go after their goals or their dreams. And so I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, watching them come up with an idea, put a system behind it, create a team, and then watch it flourish. So I've never knew not to attack, you know, a certain obstacle, a dream. I tell you one thing they always did tell me though, they always said, you can do, or you can have anything you want in this world, we'll support it, but make damn sure you work your ass off so that you're the best in it. Don't come home telling us that you had a half-assed day because you weren't prepared or you didn't feel like it. So I think that's where that all or nothing came from. You know what I mean? They either played really big or they weren't touching a certain, you know, business or investment. Like they were all in. So that was just what they passed on to me. Like, if you want to run track, great. What are your goals? Are you going to go there to win states? Are you going there to win nationals? Because that's what we want to hear, you know? And then I've always been forced, right? Like, what, especially Caribbean parents, oh my God. Even if you've run a lifetime best, you come home, so did you win? I'm like, no, but I ran faster than I did. Oh, you didn't win. You know what I mean? So that culturally, it's also a thing with, you know, African and Caribbean parents, where they're just a little bit callous when it comes to not achieving excellence. They expect the best at all times, and that's just how you have to carry yourself and your mindset. So I think that's a huge factor, and it starts there. So I say this to people: if you're deciding to have children and bring people into this world. I don't know what this era is of participation, you know, trophies and medals. I didn't grow up that way, and I don't think it serves, you're laughing because it's the truth. I don't think it serves us because it creates a sense of fucking entitlement. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna beat you. You know, don't beat me at anything. I'm gonna beat you tying shoelaces. I'm gonna beat you in the warm up. And so that's gonna set me up for the race. You know what I mean? Because if I'm working my ass off, my confidence level is just this much higher, right? So, and translate it into business. If I'm showing up, I'm spending money in marketing, I'm building my team with weekly, you know, whether it be sales training meetings, I'm checking in with my clients, I'm running specials, creating incentives. I have to grow. My company has to win. You know what I mean? So I'm a firm believer in just never, ever not being a student of whatever it is I'm passionate about. So putting myself in the same room with people that know more than me, or that are also on a similar path, is just everything. So my parents are really huge at a very early stage. So.
And I think you're mentioning something that's so important inside of sports and outside of sports, especially if we want to talk about being an extraordinary athlete. And again, this is Extraordinary Athletes podcast with Dominique Blake. We're talking about parents having a good role in being a good influence in their kids' lives. And if you may not have that father figure or that mother figure, there's mentors. One thing that you're big on is mentorship. And yep. I feel like that's something that's so important for young athletes and young people to understand today, is like, you don't have to be expected to do everything on your own. You can lean on somebody. Talk to me about the importance of you mentoring somebody, and just the importance that the young athlete or the young student needs to understand. Hey, you can ask somebody for help. You can lean on somebody. You know, I think that's huge.
Xavier, I'm gonna tell you something right now, right? We all don't have the answer. We don't have the answer for everything, right? We don't have all the answers. So I've learned at a very early age that, you know, your parents are your parents, and sometimes, you know, we're not all lucky to have phenomenal parents. In my opinion, they're your vehicle to planet Earth. And then after that point, it is really up to you, you know, once you've, you know, gone through being a child, it is your job to really seek out being the best version of yourself. So people that are in their 30s, 40s, still blaming their parents for a shitty life, and no, that is a decision you're constantly making every single day. So, you know, once I got to like age 23, 25, I'm looking around, and I think it's like at 25, you start to realize that your parents are just people as well. You know what I mean? You start to be like, they don't have all the answers. So God bless them, they've gotten me to this point. Now it's my turn, and it's my job to seek people in the specific areas of my passion to take me higher, right? So I remember in 2013, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And so I knew that I was just becoming a woman. I was 25, around 25, 26 at that time, you know, and I'm just like, all right, it's beginning. I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about customer service, business, you know, having a great credit. What the hell is taxes? What's all that shit mean? So many people are walking around here uneducated about the importance of taxes, how to, you know, really be educated on what it means to have financial wealth, to use credit to build leverage, to create a legacy for your family for generations to come. You know, how do you do that right now in this 2020 space in your 20s or in your 30s? You know, these are the things that they're not teaching in schools. So with seeking out mentors, I really just latched on to people that were millionaires, that were rich in, you know, spiritually, physically. And so I found out that once you become an expert in a certain area, it is your human job to teach somebody else and develop another person, or else you're messing up the entire system of how the universe is supposed to work. Because guess what? Somebody reached out and gave you a hand to develop you and to help you, right? So it's the same thing like when you have a team and a company. Money isn't the only currency, and I tell people this all the time. Time is the most important, the most valuable currency, because you cannot get it back. I can go make $1 million back, right? I can destroy this outfit that I have on right now and I can buy another one, but I cannot get my time back after I've spent it with you. So for me, pulling somebody aside that's coming up or that's passionate about a specific, you know, area in life, a skill, it is on me to help them develop themselves, no matter what it is, because the same principles apply. Right, whether it be photography, whether it be sport, whether it be they're trying to be the next mega entrepreneur, the basic principles apply, right? Are you waking up in ready to win mode? You know, are you taking the time out to study, to create more opportunities? Are you studying your craft? Are you going on YouTube? Are you listening? Are you attending seminars? Are you listening to audio? You know, so all these little things that people think they can skip to get to the $1 million or the bigger picture, because anybody can, you know, $1 million ain't a lot of money. $2 million ain't a lot of money. Now, once you get success, we can all do that. Can you do it again? So once I've made money, or once I've, you know, ran a certain time, now, can you do that again? Can you, after this interview, Xavier, have another dope ass interview where, you know what I mean? Are you gonna keep on getting better? So what does that look like? So for me, I understood that having a mentor was kind of like the equivalent of going to church or going to practice. You got to check in with them, right? Because we can't allow ourselves to get too far. People go to church or listen to sermons for a reminder as to how to live and how to be a great human being. So we can't pick and choose when the hell we want to. Mentorship is it's an ongoing thing. You know what I mean? For years, like, you know, I paid somebody thousands of dollars to have an hour conversation and for them to look at my business plans and to just be in the same electronic space, because, you know, we had a Facebook group where I was seeing what he was doing and using his resources as well. You can't put a price on that. For what I know I was paying thousands of dollars, but it still wasn't enough. You know, I wasn't telling him that, but you know what I mean? So whenever I expose myself to somebody, and I'm not saying, hey, I want you to pay me this, I want them to understand the importance of what they're receiving just by being in the same room or having certain conversations. So we take for granted, you know, the things that we're exposed to. Do you understand how dope Google is? Google is like, and YouTube is the best mentor ever. Like everything, there's no excuse. We have no excuse not to figure out or understand how to do something or know what something is. So for me, I look for people that are in that pocket. At this point, I was a little bit more aggressive with it a year and a half ago. But you know, once I decided that I was going to go after this, making this Olympic team, I had to kind of back off and reel my time back. And I just put a space on my website. So if everybody visits www.dominiqueblake.com, there are multiple, you know, there are certain things, services that I provide, and mentorship is one of them. So you can absolutely leave your information and you'll get a reply email, just, you know, kind of digging deeper and us telling you what I have to offer. So I still do it. Locally, I would hold weekly mentorship meetings for people in the community, and we would pack out coffee shops. So people would be coming. It would be like a monthly subscription. And then it got bigger, and then we kind of took it global, and I created my own Facebook group, and people from all over the world would join on the live, and they would just have access to me for a certain amount of time. So whether you want it for a month or you want to talk to me, once a month for a year, we had all different kinds of package options for how, you want to have access to me and use that. So it's a pretty cool setup.
I think that's so cool. And, just providing people access to you. And, and like you said, you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on learning whatsoever.
Right.
And like you said, today, I was actually on a Zoom call yesterday with some high school student athletes that play baseball. And I'm telling them the same thing, like with YouTube, Google, all the things that you have today, there's no excuse. There's really no excuse not to get better in your craft.
Like what?
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing that I mentioned is one of the kids DM'd me because I said, hey, DM me if you have any questions. One of the kids direct messaged me, asked me, hey, I need some help with nutrition. I said, you know what? These are the 5 people that I love to follow on Instagram that help me with nutrition.
Right.
And if I were you, I would go straight to them, straight to their page, go DM them and ask them for help too. Because that's a way that we can get access to people that normally we wouldn't have access to. Another thing that you mentioned too is just the consistency of it. Whoever our mentor may be or whoever our coach may be consistent with doing the same thing every time, asking them, hey, what do I need to get better on? What are the weaknesses that I have so I can continue? If I say I want to be an Olympic athlete or a Olympic gold medalist one day,
right.
The things that I need to get better at my weaknesses.
What does that look like?
I have to self-evaluate myself. I can't be afraid to ask, okay, I know these are the things that I'm bad at. I don't want to hear that. No, I need to know those things so I can get better at them continually every day.
Right.
And I think, going back to your track career and early on and after you blown out the high schools and got all these accolades, you decided to go to Penn State. What was the decision-making process behind that like? I'm sure you had multiple schools that you could choose from.
Oh, every D1 school in the universe, in the nation came knocking. And so for me, there were, even at my young 16, 17-year-old self, I always knew that one, it's called student athlete, right? So you're getting an education while being an athlete. So I always wanted to go to a university that was respected for their academics, right? And equally respected with their athletic program. So not throwing any schools under the bus, but a lot of schools in the South that came knocking that had a wonderful athletic program, they did not match that on the academic side. So your body can fail on you anytime, right? At the end of the day, I needed my degree to be something like worth accomplishing, right? I wanted it to be respected if I walked into some place and, I want to say, hey, I went to Penn State University. Trust me, our network is massive. Everybody knows somebody that went to Penn State University. Everybody is tied into the Joe Pa story and our legacy as far as, what Penn State has done historically, as far as football. But everybody knows somebody that has gone to Penn State. And that once I took my official visit there, I'm going to tell you right now, they're rated #1 as far as their aesthetically, their grass, their landscape. And my mindset, because my mind works in like the craziest way, right? If I really sat here and told you all the things that I think about, you'd be like, what the hell? How did you go from thinking that to come back to here? But anyway, as I'm 16 on my first official visit. I actually turned 17 on my visit there. I'm looking around and I'm looking at the grass and how beautiful the grass was, right? And how how much care and pride they took in taking care of the grass. And then they drove me down to the track and how beautiful the facility was. And at that time, this was around the same time, I think me and Reggie Bush were prospects in the same year. I don't know if you remember what he did at USC or what they did with him. And they gave him like money and a friggin' Range Rover and messed it up for the rest of the people. So they couldn't treat people extra special after that. So my year was the last of it. So they really pulled out all the stops. They decorated the lobby of the hotel I was staying at, the track facility that said, "Welcome Dominique Blake," and like roses. And I thought to myself, if they're taking this great of a care of their lawns and their grass, imagine how they treat their athletes. They spend money on grass. Are you kidding me? So that was my mindset. I was like, shit, if they love their grass, I know they're gonna love me. And so it was just honestly like a huge family. There wasn't a dull moment on the trip. I was able to connect with the coach. And so that was something that I noticed I did not have that connection at the other universities that I visited. Either the girls weren't getting along, or there was a disconnect, or the campus just looked like crap, or they didn't really care about their academics as much, and they were just kind of passing them. You know how that goes. So are we okay with internet connection?
Yeah, we're okay. I'm actually gonna move a little bit just in case.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, and guess what? I wasn't gonna be one of those people that just picked up and moved across the country to California, because I went to high school in New York. My family's in New York. I didn't want to be all the way across on the West Coast should something go down and I can't like just have my family there, or the time change. And honestly, I don't know if you know anybody from New York, but our temperament and the culture there, we're just so real that being in California, I'm just like, I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to. Like, I really feel like a fish out of water when dealing with the people there. They're like way out there. Love my Cali people. I have a lot of friends from Cali. I even lived there for a little while. It was a wonderful experience, but I am super East Coast. And then you add the Caribbean thing in there. What you see is what you get. So I don't ever feel the need to be anything that I'm not. If you don't like this, I totally understand. I'm not for everybody. And I tell everybody that right off the bat, I am not for everybody. So if you can't subscribe to this and what I bring to the table, I am okay with that. Trust me, I know what it is. So yeah, and I'm door to door. I was 3.5 hours away from my family home. So I could drive. I was far enough that my mom couldn't pop up on me, but close enough that I can get home if necessary. So
I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with
what?
that.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that because I'm from San Diego and I went to Las Vegas for college, which is about a 4-hour drive. So it was close enough, but far enough to where I'm in a different state and it's going to take a little bit to get there. So that was perfect for me as well. And I think that kind of speaks to the detail of how detail oriented you are. Just knowing that, hey, if they're going to take care of these little things, they're going to take care of the athletes.
Yeah. But look at this though. Hold on, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna just give another example for people that still can't wrap their minds around what the hell I just said. It's just like if a guy pursues me and he approaches me with the dirtiest fingernails and the dirtiest sneakers, I already know what time it is. Because if you can't even take care of your shoes and your fingernails, sir, I know what your apartment looks like, I know what your car looks like, and we don't even have to go any further. So while that could be okay for other people, right? My high school coach actually told me that. She was Puerto Rican, really saucy. She would be like, "Mommy, if he doesn't have clean shoes, So just things that always, kind of stayed in the back of my mind, and I paid attention to it, and it's real. Dirty car, dirty mind, dirty business. So everything lends itself to the next thing. So it might be small and it might appear to be stupid to some people, but it's real shit.
No, that's for real. So to my young mans, man, go get your manicures, go go get the fresh pair of shoes, bring them out if you're meeting a nice young lady. I'm all about that. You got to be presentable, for real. Even if that's not you, you still got to be presentable. You got to look like, you got to play the part. So I think that's oh my goodness. I think that's funny. That's wild, but no, very true. Now let's transition into going pro. How did you know that you were ready to go pro, or at least on the Olympic stage? How did you know you were prepared for that? Or maybe you weren't as prepared. Where was the maturity level?
Let's see. I graduated in 2008. I moved back to Kingston, May 2008, moved back to Kingston, Jamaica in January 2009. You know, my dad was just like, hey, I understand you love track. However, you need to understand how to do something else should anything happen to your body long term. You need to understand how business works. You need to understand, you know, the family business and how, you know, I think in his mind, he was sick. He didn't tell me how sick he was because he ended up passing away the next year from kidney failure, but he wanted me to understand the importance of business. So he said, you can always return to sport. You're young enough. So I said, you know what? I didn't fight him on this. I totally understood. And I was just like, all right, let's do it. So I moved to Kingston, Jamaica, January 2009, and you know, joined the family business. Did the 9-to-5 thing, running. Imagine this: I'm 21, you know, basically running a staff of 6 to 7 people, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, you know. Wow. And so at this point, I'm just like, I get it, but my heart wasn't done with sport. So fast forward to March 2010, he passes away, and I tell my mom, like, you know, I'm sad. I don't want to be in this space without him. And so at this point, you know, it's October 2010, and I'm like, I'm going back to sport. So I moved my mom to Jamaica to take over, and just kind of make sure things are smooth there with our company. And I moved back to State College, Pennsylvania in 2010. And I said I called my coach up before moving, and I said, Coach, it's 2010. We're 2 years out from the 2012 London Games. I need to make this team, and I need to come home with some hardware. Without asking, this is why I love this man. He's still my coach to this day. Without asking another question, he said, all right, baby, come home, let's do it. So for those 2 years, I trained relentlessly, whether it be 2 a days, 3 a days, for those 2 years to make that 2012 team, right? And that's the only thing I was focused on, making sure that my weight room was on point. I was having great workouts on the track, and that everything was gonna be aligned for 2012. So summer comes around, we head to Kingston, Jamaica for Olympic trials, and you know, I make that team. So it was absolutely a surreal time in life, especially when I got to the village. I was like, oh my God. I'm waking up in the morning, I'm like looking at Venus and Serena, talking to their coach on the bench. I'm having breakfast with Michael Phelps and LeBron. I'm like, what is life right now? You know, but in that moment, you know, I really had to say, like, girl, you did it, blood, sweat, and tears. You deserve to be here. So, and it was awesome. Like, just as much as I'm looking at them, commending them and saying, man, like, how the hell you run so fast? You know what I mean? So it was a wonderful time. 2012 was definitely one of the best games in history. Like, just because of the group of people that were there, you know what I mean? At that time, we got Kobe, LeBron, like everybody, all the greatest athletes in our time that we're looking at, like just doing it, whether it be gymnastics, basketball, you know, track, you know, Usain's on the track. So it was dope. It was absolutely dope.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being on the same stage with some of these just being in the same vicinity with some of these people, I think that that's just an awesome experience. Let me grab my charger really quick.
Yep. Is that turf that I'm looking at there?
Yeah, it's a turf space. I'm at a little workspace office type place, and they have a room with like a turf space, and it has a studio for pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I want to transition into outside of sport. What keeps you so motivated to do things, outside of, you've reached the pinnacle, like being a Olympic.
I don't think so though.
So that's what I want to get into is like, what keeps you motivated to do these other things outside of your sport? I know that a lot of times as an athlete, we're just so tunnel vision, like I gotta get to here. And then a lot of people have to transition, and honestly, a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Struggle with transition outside their sport. So what keeps you motivated? What allowed you to transition? I have an idea that I know some of these answers just because you were so, focused on doing some of these things, even while you're in sport. So how did you do that?
I'm going to tell you right now, being suspended from sport gave me an opportunity to sit my ass down and be like, oh no, I'm never gonna give anybody outside of myself the authority to put me in a timeout and like put my income on pause. In my mind, whatever I'm inheriting from my family, I don't count that. You know what I mean? Whatever my parents decide to give to, like, that doesn't, I'm in its entirety self-made, and that's always been the idea, because my parents could have paid for me to go to school even if I didn't have a full scholarship. I've never considered what they've wanted to, or anybody for that matter, wants to give me, because I just feel like when you accomplish something by yourself, it's worth that much more. One, nobody can take it away from you. And two, nobody can take the glory of accomplishing it away from you. So I think that while I was, forced to sit out from sport, it really made me analyze what life outside and away from sport was going to be, and what I should be doing simultaneously. Why can't you be a businessman or a businesswoman while being an athlete? And all the greats, the smart ones, are. You know what I mean? So if you have influence, at one point I was making more money and than athletes that were actually competing on the track with contracts. So they started realizing that slowly but surely, this bitch is becoming the Kevin Hart of track. Like, she's using social media and her leverage. Right? Because and he's one of the people I really sat and watched how he leveraged his social media and his presence and his passion and turned it into a damn check. So it wasn't anything he wasn't doing anyway. He was just living his life, but created a system with social media and monetized it. Duh, we're all on social media. I'm like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. So I knew I was going to be back on the track. My suspension was from 2012 to 2016. So indoor season, I'm back on the track, and I'm very open and vocal about this. So for people that don't know, so I tested positive for something in the same category as coffee. Thousands of athletes around the world are testing positive every day for things that are in like Red Bull. Some years, NyQuil is on the banned substance list. So you have to be so super on top of whatever it is that you're putting in your body, whether it be food. I've seen athletes test positive for eating too much beef. Crazy stuff, right? So I went through it with my federation, just a whole bunch of stuff, coming out on top, because ultimately I've, also decided that I wasn't going to let anybody dictate when my career was going to be over. So I hired a wonderful legal team, hired scientists just to prove and to defend my credibility, because at the end of the day, our credibility is everything. You know what I mean? We're sitting here with each other today because of our credibility, right? So I'm really always focused on the business of things and how I can really attach whatever it is I'm passionate about, like truly passionate about, and making an income from that, because I don't want to ever feel like I'm slaving for an income, right? So I think if you can have fun with whatever it is that you're making money from, I think you're able to grow, help other people, and thrive in it a lot easier. Like I've never been, I've always told my publicists, my agents, my managers, do not put me with any company that I'm not gonna really use their products in my real life. I'm not faking the funk. I'm not using it. If I'm not using it, I'm not gonna promote it, right? Because authentically, your followers can really know if you're lying, you know? People that follow your fans, like, she ain't really eating that shit. You know, because I see it all the time. So, you know, it's just one of those things. So having a one-on-one personal training company, having a social media marketing business, like all of these things are things that I'm doing every single day, you know, giving people advice, how to structure a business plan, or the basic steps, you know, of how to be successful. Mentorship comes really easy to me because I had some dope ass mentors. So it's nothing for me to set up a system and put it behind a service like that. You know what I mean? So those are just some really important principles for me as far as what to do while currently competing. And it just lends itself to what I'm going to be doing after. So it's not hard for me to determine what's going to come after sport, because again, if you're goal setting, I like to work backwards. I like to picture myself at like 70 and think about what I'd like to look like at 70 and what it's going to take for me to be doing right now to get to that point. So I think if people looked at things that way, we'd be a lot more successful rather than just living for the friggin' weekend or just to get to next year. You know, why shoot for 1 million when you can shoot for 10? You see what I'm saying? So those things for me, it's not difficult because I know I want to have a family. I know I would like to be retired from certain day-to-day activities and living in a certain space. So what does that look like? That ultimately sets up what my now next 1 to 4 or 5 years will look like. And then I can kind of determine from there what's going to happen in the next 10 years, 20 years. So it's grind time right now.
No, I agree that's a great point. And I think you mentioned something very important and something that we all kind of go through is some form of adversity. You went through adversity being suspended. What advice would you give to somebody that's going through a point of adversity, or, you know, that's in a negative place right now, or is in a dark place? How do you get them out of that? How do we help them navigate that situation?
All right, I'm going to tell you. Well, again, who you're surrounding yourself around. I gave myself a day to cry about it, right? At the end of the day, you got to show up for yourself first and foremost. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. Right? So you got to show up for yourself and you got to develop a game plan. I'm never in the business of worrying about anything that I cannot control, right? So this is either going to happen and we're going to deal with it. How, you know, but how you manage yourself and your time. And I said to myself, I'm going to become the best and the most smartest businesswoman ever. I'm going to learn everything I could possibly learn about business, marketing, customer service, to come out on top. Because even at that point, I was having tunnel vision and I was seeing into the future of what I wanted my brand to look like and what I wanted to stand for. Okay, Google is going to try and kick my ass. When people Google my name, this is one of the first articles that they're going to see. So from this point on, I know that I can't attach myself with anything that's negative, anything that's going to damage my credibility, and I'm hypersensitive about that. I'm not going to be attached to anyone or in any situation that's going to add any kind of negative press to my name, because I'm working too damn hard because of what people are seeing, or because somebody decided they wanted to, you know, write a stupid article, not necessarily based on facts, but we live in a day and time now where sometimes a lie is more entertaining than the truth. So if that first article pops up, that people are going to keep clicking on that, even if it's bullshit. Somebody can go and create a Wikipedia page for you based on nothing, and you can't even go and correct it. So it's just those types of things. But advice to someone that's going through adversity, keep on going through it, because nothing lasts forever. Not the great, phenomenal moments, and not the shitty times, right? So my advice is to just have a clear game plan, and to constantly work every day on becoming a better version of yourself. Because eventually, time is gonna go by, and we live in a time where it's a "what have you done for me lately" type of deal. You know what I mean? We live in a time where somebody can kill somebody today, and in about 3 weeks, nobody's talking about it. You see what I'm saying? So the constant effort in making sure that you have your goals, written goals, and you're working towards them every single day and latching on to other credible sources. Because, for example, you have a business. Nobody knows about your business. It would be in your best interest to go and partner with other credible, well-known brands, whether it be people or other companies, to, you know, just gain some leverage to build your brand up. So people do it all the time. Companies go and hire athletes to be the face of their, you know, Shaq makes millions off of Gold Bond, or, you know, these companies that people ain't talking about, or they want to appeal to a different demographic. They just go to a face that everybody loves, right? So for me, when I moved here, nobody knew. I created Diamond Training, so obviously nobody knew about it. But I always called it the #1 personal training company, even on day one, because I knew that it would be. People thought I was crazy for that as well. So eventually, you know, you can go to Google now. We're known as the #1 personal training company for a couple of reasons, but we have 5-star ratings. And so we get all of that traffic because we're known as #1, but because I didn't stop fighting for what I believed in, which was myself, my work ethic, and all of my time and resources that I was putting into this thing, right? So at the end of the day, you know, everything is relative. So it's just what you want to think about it, how you want to think about yourself, the words that you're saying to yourself, the words that are coming out of your mouth. You're casting spells into the universe. Am I going too deep? I'm gonna keep going, but it's very, very powerful how you talk to yourself. The thoughts that you constantly think, they become reality. So if you're not accepting anything but the best, and you're putting that energy out every day, you know, you're gonna come out on top no matter what, I promise. So, and that time in my life has helped me. It lit a match under my ass, and they created a monster. So shout out to them for suspending my ass, because I'm unstoppable you know, in a certain respect. I'm not controllable. Nobody can control me with any of their own resources. Because at the end of the day, even if you take everything away from me right now, I know how to create it again tomorrow. And that's the most important thing with a skill set or a trade. So it's worth it to invest in the knowledge, in your abilities, because anything can happen. Look at this time that we're in, Xavier. You know,
this is wild.
To know how to do more than one thing. If I didn't know how to just, you know, what if I just knew how to run in circles around a track? You know what I mean? I'd be asked out. I have a lot of friends right now that are just sitting at home losing their damn minds because they're not able to compete. And, you know, those contracts, after a while, you know, they can cut your contract. And what are you gonna do? You can't do a damn thing. You gotta sit there and be like, okay.
That's the thing as an athlete. Age catches up to all of us. So at some point, you know, there's no more track. At some point, there's no more baseball. So like you said, why don't you start figuring out some of those things that you have the tools to do right now? And I'm gonna give you a chance to remind people the services that you provide and the resources that you have. But I want to kind of end this with, what does Dominique Blake want to be most known for? When it's all said and done, what do you want people to say about you, or what do you want people to take away?
I think when it's all said and done, I would love for people to take away the idea of that she inspired a world of people to be, do, and have anything they could possibly conceive in their mind. There is no limitation. So if somebody, I think that's also what Oprah kind of stands for in a certain, you know what I mean? She came from absolutely nothing, and she's just this idea of inevitable energy that can just kind of manifest anything that she wants. And she puts that energy in the room, or she can emit it through the TV. And that's just the message that I think that I always come back to that, right? Whenever I ask myself that, no matter what service I'm providing, you know, sport will end one day. When it's all said and done, you hear my name or you see my face, I want a certain emotion to be placed in somebody's spirit to make them feel empowered and dangerously passionate about whatever it is that they want to accomplish. So
that's really
yeah, I want to be like an idea and a feeling when thought of. You know, you could think about something right now, you'd be like, whether that be sweet potato pie or a good macaroni casserole, whatever it is, but immediately you light up. And, you know, do you have kids? I see that you're married.
Yes, I have two kids.
Right. So when you think about your kids, there's a certain kind of emotion that comes over you that nothing else can kind of replace that. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, and I've kind of never heard that before, but yeah, more than anything, I would say the same about myself. Like I would want an emotion to come over people, you know, not just a thought, but have somebody feel a certain way about me. And I think that's definitely worth mentioning. I'm just going to hit you now with X's Extreme 5 quick questions, just rapid fire.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. If you were never a track star or never stepped foot on a track, what would your profession be? Right out of college, where would you have been if you didn't touch the track?
I would be with my family business, which is real estate development and investing. So, yep.
Still be a boss no matter what. It doesn't matter. If you could meet any celebrity in the world, who would it be?
Ooh. That's a tough one. It changes. Right now, I have to say it's so cheesy. It would probably be Beyonce.
Queen Bee.
For a number of reasons. Just because her mind, like outside of music, like I'm not even thinking about music. I just think that she is so innovative, so calculated, and so classy in a certain sense, where she's created like just so many things that don't exist and has set the tone for just innovation. You know how tough it is to move through like decades and still be at like the peak of what people, you know what I mean? So it's just the mindset behind that. Like what does that preparation look like? What does that relentless energy feel like? And so the only way is to be kind of in the same room and hear the lingo and, you know, kind of see how that person moves. So right now, I'd say, yeah, there are a couple, but she just excites me. I'm really, you know, I love her as an artist, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to be like a fly on the wall with a conversation between her and Jay-Z business-wise.
Absolutely.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go right now?
Right now, if I could go, like, are you saying right now, hypothetically?
Like vacation,
right now during vacation. Because I'm like, shit, nowhere. But go ahead.
No, vacation-wise, there's no COVID going on. Where are you going? What's one place that you said I need to go?
I want to visit a couple countries in Africa. You know, I think that right off we don't know enough about where we come from. I would love to, I'm gonna pick two. I would say Africa and Thailand. I love Thai food. It's like up there in my top 5, but there's so much culture and so much beauty to that country. But Africa is definitely, I want to visit a couple countries in Africa, you know, and see what's going on that side. We see whatever the media kind of shows us, but Africa is you know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I'd love to go to South Africa. I'd love to go to Nigeria just to experience the culture and see for myself.
I would love to too, and I think you should go to Thailand. I've been to Thailand, amazing experience, very, you know, great culture. I went to the capital, Bangkok, and then I went to, I did the island hopping in Phuket.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was cool. It's a good little experience.
On there. Top 2.
That's good. Okay, what is one food that you couldn't live without?
Oh my God. You know I'm about 700 pounds in my spirit, right? One food that I can't live without? Oh my God. Yeah,
if you were on an island and they said, hey, you can only have one food for the rest of your life, what is it?
Oh my God. I'm so fat, like you don't even understand. That's like probably the toughest question I've had to answer. You've been asking all these questions the whole podcast, and this is what stumps me. Okay, it would probably have to be a fruit. Probably a mango.
Okay, we go with the
mango. I probably have that.
Okay.
I love mango, pineapple. But yeah.
I'm a big pineapple guy. But okay, last one.
Okay.
If you could give your 10-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be? Don't
change a damn thing, because you're a rock star.
That's a good one. Haven't gotten that one yet. That's a good one.
I was a cool kid. I hung out with everybody. I was a cool kid. I'd be friends with the 10-year-old me. I'm not even just saying that but you know what I mean? Like,
who says that? I'd be friends with a 10-year-old me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when I was 10, and I'm just like, wow.
I wouldn't be friends with me. I know that. Like that guy was a nerd. He has some issues going on.
Really? Don't let me start digging.
Wow. Please don't. Okay. No, it's cool.
Yeah,
but I appreciate you jumping on the Extraordinary Athletes podcast. I just want you to tell everybody, you know, where they can find more information about you, where they can maybe research some of your services that you provide and your resources. Just throw that out.
Absolutely. So right now, I provide, and if you visit any of my social media, especially Instagram, you will see that it's basically a one-stop shop for everything that you could possibly need in life. So on one hand, you know, I help basically people with their finances. So I'm a financial basically educator. So whether you need credit restoration or, you know, you want to do a business and become an agent, you know, we provide those two services as far as on the finances on that side. Diamond Training, we're the #1 personal training company. We're virtual, local, and mobile. So that's something that, you know, you'll kind of always see whenever you visit, you know, the company website, see me on Instagram. Also, I'm partnered with a company called TLC, Total Life Changes. So we are doing something where we're providing people the opportunity. If you want to lose 5 pounds in 5 days, you can absolutely do that. So it's a wonderful detox. I'm going to send you some samples as well. It's a wonderful detox tea that clears your colon. People don't understand. You're not fat. You're just bloated because things are hanging out inside of your intestines that are unnecessary, right? So once we get that cleanse going, you know, we also provide a liquid multivitamin. So making the outside beautiful, but also it starts from the inside. So just really making sure that human beings are operating at the best and highest level possible. Because if you're crushing it here at life, imagine if you could take yourself to here. Why not? So, and again, these are all things that, you know, I use myself. I would never endorse anything or provide anything to anybody that I didn't believe in myself. So we're providing those nutrients / supplements. Also, mentorship. Mentorship is huge. So the DVB mentorship group, you know, I'm available to help anybody that needs mentorship, whether it be on a business side or whether it be just on a personal level. We go through things all the time, and sometimes, you know, if we see somebody that looks like us or that's going through the same thing or has gone through something and has come out successful, or, you know, it just makes a world of a difference. Because I can't tell you, especially being an entrepreneur, most of the time you're thinking you're alone. Like, nobody else is going through this. Is anybody else going through this bipolar ass, you know, situation? So anyway, yes, if you visit www.dominiqueblake.com, the website is awesome. You can see everything that you need to see there. Also, my Instagram handle is Dominique B. Blake, and it's linked to Twitter and all that stuff. You can find all that stuff on the website. But I love to connect with people. I do follow back and I do interact, and I expect everybody to interact as well. Don't be a ghost follower. So if you're on my account and we're friends, I'm expecting you to like my stuff.
Yeah, don't be a ghost follower
so
out
much
there, man.
for having me. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, and best of luck with everything coming up, and let's keep in touch, because I think you got some cool things going on, and I see some collaborations maybe in the future.
Let's do it.